When Elon Musk's limo breaks down in the middle of nowhere, a chance encounter with a small-town mechanic leads to an unbelievable twist you'll never forget. The sleek, black limo glided down the sun-baked highway, its polished exterior a stark contrast to the dusty landscape. Inside, Elon Musk sat lost in thought, his mind racing with ideas for his latest project. The gentle hum of the engine and the cool air conditioning created a bubble of tranquility, isolating him from the harsh reality outside. Suddenly, a violent shudder rippled through the vehicle. The engine sputtered and coughed, breaking Elon's concentration. He looked up, confused, as the car lurched forward a few more feet before coming to an abrupt halt. Thick plumes of smoke began billowing from under the hood, obscuring the view through the windshield. The driver's face, visible in the rearview mirror, drained of color. His eyes, wide with panic, met Elon's in the reflection. "Mr. Musk, I'm not sure what happened. We're stranded." The words hung heavy in the air, the gravity of their situation sinking in. Elon's brow furrowed as he surveyed their surroundings. Through the tinted windows, miles of barren land stretched in every direction, broken only by the occasional scrub brush or weathered rock formation. The realization that they were truly in the middle of nowhere sent a chill down his spine, despite the sweltering heat outside. As his gaze swept across the desolate landscape, a flicker of hope caught his eye. A faded wooden sign stood resolutely by the roadside, its paint peeling under the relentless sun. Squinting, Elon could just make out the words, "Jake's Auto Repair, 1 mile ahead." The tech mogul's curiosity stirred. A small-town mechanic out here, in this vast emptiness? It seemed almost too convenient, like a mirage in the desert. Yet, as improbable as it seemed, it was their only option. "Well," Elon said, breaking the tense silence, "it looks like we're going to pay Jake a visit." He opened the door, the blast of hot air hitting him like a wall. The driver nodded, relief and apprehension battling for dominance on his face. As they began the arduous task of pushing the heavy limo down the sun-baked asphalt, Elon couldn't shake a strange feeling. It wasn't just the odd circumstances of their breakdown or the mysterious auto shop ahead. There was something else, a tingling sensation at the back of his mind, as if the universe was trying to tell him something. With each step, the feeling grew stronger. Sweat trickled down his back, but Elon hardly noticed. His mind was already racing ahead, imagining what or who they might find at Jake's shop. He'd experienced many pivotal moments in his life, moments that changed everything. Somehow he knew this was another one. As they pushed on, the limo's wheels kicking up small clouds of dust, Elon found himself filled with an inexplicable anticipation. Something extraordinary was about to happen. He could feel it in his bones, in the dry desert air around him. Whatever awaited them at Jake's Auto Repair, Elon was certain it would be more than just a simple car fix. This unexpected detour was about to take him on a journey he never could have anticipated. Elon Musk had met countless brilliant minds in Silicon Valley, but nothing could have prepared him for Jake. Who was this small-town mechanic, and why did Elon have a nagging feeling that their chance encounter was about to alter the course of technological history? As they approached the weathered garage, the air grew thick with the scent of motor oil and grease. The steady thrum of classic rock spilled out from an old radio perched on a cluttered workbench. Elon's eyes darted around, taking in every detail of this unexpected oasis of activity in the middle of nowhere. A pair of legs stuck out from beneath a rusted pickup truck, bobbing slightly to the beat of the music. Suddenly, a man emerged, wiping his hands on a rag that had seen better days. His eyes widened as they fell upon the sleek, black limo, a stark contrast to the dusty vehicles that usually graced his lot. "Well now," the man said, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Don't often see one of those round here. What seems to be the trouble?" Elon watched, fascinated, as Jake's hands moved over the limo's engine with practiced ease. There was something almost poetic about the way he worked, each movement purposeful and precise. Jake's fingers danced across wires and components, his brow furrowed in concentration. The workshop itself was a curious blend of old and new. Vintage tools hung on the walls alongside state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. A battered leather couch sat in one corner, while a gleaming 3D printer occupied another. It was as if the past and future had collided in this small space, creating something entirely unique. As Jake worked, he regaled Elon with stories of life in the small town. He spoke of community barbecues, of helping neighbors fix their tractors, of teaching local kids the basics of engineering. His eyes lit up as he described his latest project, a solar-powered irrigation system for the town's community garden. Elon found himself drawn into Jake's world, surprised by the mechanic's innovative approach to problem-solving. Here, in this tiny garage in the middle of nowhere, was a mind that rivaled those of his top engineers at Tesla. Jake's solutions were elegant in their simplicity, born from necessity and a deep understanding of the materials at hand. "You know," Jake said, pausing to wipe sweat from his brow, "folks around here think I'm a bit odd. Always tinkering, always trying to improve things. But I figure, why not? If you've got an idea that might make life better, even just a little, why not give it a shot?" Elon nodded, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. He recognized that spark, that relentless drive to innovate. It was the same force that had propelled him from a small apartment in California to the forefront of the tech industry. As Jake closed the hood of the limo with a satisfying thunk, Elon realized he had stumbled upon something truly special. This unassuming garage, nestled in the heart of nowhere, was a crucible of innovation, and Jake, with his boundless enthusiasm and practical ingenuity, was its beating heart. Jake wiped his hands on a rag, grinning at a job well done. But little did he know the real test of his abilities was about to begin. What would happen when Elon Musk, the man who dreamed of colonizing Mars, presented him with a challenge that even Tesla's top engineers couldn't crack? As Jake made some final adjustments to the limo's engine, Elon cleared his throat. "You know, we've been working on something at Tesla," he began, his tone casual but his eyes sharp. "It's a new battery design, but we're hitting a wall with heat dissipation." Jake's head snapped up, his eyes widening with interest. The mention of Tesla sparked a fire in him, and his mind began to race. "Heat dissipation, huh?" he mused, already picturing the problem in his head. Elon watched, a mixture of skepticism and curiosity on his face, as Jake grabbed a greasy notepad from his workbench. The mechanic's hand moved swiftly across the paper, sketching out rough diagrams and scribbling equations in the margins. "What if," Jake muttered, his brow furrowed in concentration. He glanced up at Elon, then back down at his sketch. "What if you used a network of microchannels?" Elon leaned in, his interest piqued. "Go on," he urged, his eyes fixed on Jake's rapidly filling notepad. Jake's explanation flowed smoothly, his hands gesturing as he spoke. He described a system of tiny channels running through the battery, filled with a liquid coolant. The coolant would circulate, drawing heat away from the core and distributing it evenly. As Jake talked, Elon found himself asking more questions, his own excitement growing. The concept was rough, but there was something there, a spark of genuine innovation that he hadn't seen in years. "But here's the kicker," Jake said, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "What if we made the channels adaptive? They could expand or contract based on the heat load, maximizing efficiency." Elon's eyebrows shot up. The idea was deceptively simple, yet it held the potential to solve a problem that had been plaguing his team for months. He stared at Jake, momentarily speechless. Jake, misinterpreting Elon's silence, began to backtrack. "I mean, it's just a thought. I'm sure your engineers have considered something like this already." "No," Elon interrupted, his voice filled with a mix of awe and excitement. "No, they haven't. This could work." The limo's engine roared to life, but Elon barely noticed. His mind was racing, already imagining the possibilities of Jake's idea. He had come to this small town expecting a simple repair, but instead he had stumbled upon someone, truly extraordinary. As Jake closed the hood of the limo, Elon knew that this chance encounter was about to change everything. The spark of innovation he had witnessed in this humble garage was exactly what Tesla needed. And Jake, with his practical ingenuity and fresh perspective, might just be the key to unlocking the next great leap in electric vehicle technology. As the dust settled on the highway, Jake returned to his ordinary life. But extraordinary forces were already in motion. Have you ever wondered how a split-second decision could alter the course of history? For Jake, that moment was about to arrive in the most unexpected way. Days passed, and Jake found himself back in the familiar rhythm of his small-town garage. The encounter with the mysterious limo passenger began to feel like a distant dream, a story too fantastical to be true. He tinkered with engines, chatted with locals, and tried to ignore the nagging feeling that something significant had shifted in his world. It was a Tuesday afternoon when Jake's phone rang, interrupting the steady hum of the garage. He wiped his greasy hands on his coveralls and reached for the device, frowning at the unknown number on the screen. For a moment, he considered letting it go to voicemail. But something, intuition, fate, or maybe just curiosity, made him swipe to answer. "Hello?" Jake's voice echoed in the quiet garage. "Is this Jake?" The voice on the other end was crisp, confident, and oddly familiar. "This is Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla." Jake's hand trembled, nearly dropping the phone. His mind raced back to that day in the shop. The casual conversation, the ideas he'd shared. He'd been talking to Elon Musk, and he hadn't even known it. Yes, this is Jake," he managed to stammer out, his free hand gripping the edge of his workbench for support. Elon's words flowed through the phone, each one more surreal than the last. An invitation to Tesla's headquarters, a chance to share his ideas with their top engineers, a potential position on their innovation team. Jake's mind spun, trying to process the magnitude of what he was hearing. As Elon spoke, Jake's gaze wandered around his small shop. The tools he'd used for years suddenly seemed inadequate in the face of this opportunity. The dreams he'd tucked away, deemed too fantastical for a small-town mechanic, began to stir. But doubt crept in, its tendrils wrapping around his excitement. What did he, a self-taught mechanic from nowhere, have to offer a company like Tesla? The weight of imposter syndrome pressed down on him, threatening to crush this unexpected chance. "Jake? Are you still there?" Elon's voice cut through his spiral of thoughts. Jake took a deep breath, feeling as though he stood at a crossroads. His entire future hung on his next words. The safe, familiar path of his current life stretched out before him. But beside it, a new road had appeared. Uncertain, challenging, but filled with possibilities he'd never dared to imagine. "Yes, I'm here," Jake replied, his voice steadier than he felt. "And I'd be honored to accept your invitation." As the words left his mouth, Jake felt the ground shift beneath his feet. His world, once comfortably small, began to expand in ways he'd never thought possible. The garage around him remained unchanged, but Jake knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Jake stood at the entrance of Tesla's sprawling headquarters, his heart racing. The gleaming glass and steel structure seemed a world away from his humble garage. As he took his first steps inside, he couldn't help but think of all the small-town mechanics like himself, tinkering away with big dreams. Elon's gamble on Jake had paid off beyond anyone's expectations. Jake's practical insights and innovative solutions breathed new life into Tesla's projects. His journey from fixing tractors to revolutionizing electric vehicles became a story that inspired thousands. But Jake's success raised a bigger question. How many other hidden geniuses were out there, waiting for their chance? In small towns, in garages, in backyard workshops, brilliant minds solving problems in ways the tech world had never considered. Jake's story wasn't just about one man's rise, it was a reminder that innovation knows no boundaries. It thrives in the most unexpected places, waiting to be discovered.